Hi YouTube, Tim here, and I painted up some of my takedown bows. I need to cover the handle with some sort of paint or leather or something, but at the moment this is what we have. I made one green and one black. I also have a book of supposedly authentic Turkish designs taken from ceramics, designs from paintings and illuminated works of art. I think this is pretty interesting, and some of them are fairly simple and fairly attractive. What I was going to try and do is start off very simple with something like this, and just put that right here on the bending portion of the limb, on each of the bows, right about there I thought, or maybe up right here, we'll see. Tell you what, I'll start in the middle of the upper portion of the bending area. So to do that, first of all, I've got a cup of water, I've got my gold paint, I've got the book for the pattern, and I've got a little thick piece of cardboard which will be a nice palette for me to work off of. All the other paint on here is dried on. Whether or not that's suitably professional, I don't know, but that's what I'm doing, so live with it, right? Okay. So I have a little dollop of paint. Something that I'd heard is that using a longer brush and adding some water to it to thin it down would help to make nice graceful lines and strokes. But since this one appears to be mostly composed of very short strokes, I don't think it'll be an issue. We'll try it, and if it's really a problem, I'll thin it and I'll try it on the other limb. So I'm going to move it like this so that it's laying flat. This is the portion I'm going to decorate right in the center. Let me just take both of them. And you see how in the center of the design there's a dot. I'm just going to go ahead and make that dot on both of them so I have an index. I should be working off the same point for both of them. Nice fat dot. Go over here and do the exact same thing on the other one. Yeah, such a small brush really doesn't pick up an awful lot of paint. This is going to be interesting. And I've never painted on a painted limb before. Not exactly like this. Usually I'm painting on pleather or some other surface. Okay, so now that we have the index marked out, I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and make all the other points as well. So that way we should have a fairly consistent design on both of them. There are also two dots on either side of the principal main dot. They represent flower buds of some sort. Alright, so now I've made each 3 dots on both of the limbs. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark the outside with a stroke like this. I'm going to do that on both of them. This is actually probably the best way to do it. Doing them at the same time right next to each other, you can ensure that the designs are fairly consistent. You're never going to get them the same, but even look at the ones in the book, they're imperfect. Okay, so now we have that. The high and low points are going to be more challenging. So from this central dot, there's a little Fleur-De-Lis design, something like that. So I'm going to try and make that. I'm going to start off right above it, make a nice fat dot, and then like that, make one petal straight up, and then one petal to the left. Let me try the one in the center again. There we go, I like that. Let's do it over here. Now ideally you'll get it to terminate in a nice fine point. So as I drag, I also try and lift the brush off to reduce contact surface. It pulls the paint off and it usually ends in a nice fine point. Okay, that's good. Now down there at the very bottom, or rather from this point, we should work straight down to about here. And right around here there's a mark sort of like that. So let's go ahead and do that on both of them. Great. On either side of that there should be 2 dots. Then I'm also going to take these side dots, and they have little flower petals or leaves at the base. So starting just like we did the Fleur-De-Lis, like that, and like that. See? So it looks sort of like a flower petal. You can do it over here. Same thing, and the same thing on both of these sides. From the base of the petals now, I'm going to draw a line from there to this mark at the bottom. So let's try that now. That's good. You should meet at the center. Great. Next step. From here, going to draw a line through there, meeting at the original bud that we drew. So let's try that like that. Pretty good. Okay. Great. So now they both look pretty much the same. All that's really left at this point is to draw the border, which is to extend this lobe pattern around it. It should have one more lobe and then terminate in a leaf-shaped lobe, or a gladiolus shape, I guess. So let's try starting that off right now. One lobe up at the top, one at the bottom. There we go. I'll do it on the other one. This is turning out pretty nice. And now for the final, the caps, so to speak. They kind of look like onion domes if you've seen a Byzantine-inspired church top, like in Russian cathedrals. So let's try that now. Starts off going more down, back in, and to a point. First of all, more down, then in, and to the point. More up, in, to the point. Up, in, and to the point. What I can now do is I can make another finer line on the inside of that to make it look a little bit more interesting. But that's basically it. I'm going to complete this over on the other side. Maybe do a little bit more decorating on this, and then I will show you the results. Thanks for watching. A little bit later, I've let it dry. This is the basic design that I put on there. The only thing I changed was I made little circles at the ends that I'm going to then attach to a little flourish up at the top. A little leaf design up at the top and bottom. So let's do that right now. from here, first of all, I need to make a sharp downward stroke coming out to about there. That's pretty good. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. And the top and the bottom. Very good. Continue the low bait pattern. There's one lobe, two lobes, and then a sort of a Hershey Kiss shape at the top. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm going to retouch that one up a little. There we go. Now for the Hershey Kiss. Which I guess is pretty similar to the onion domes from before. I'm going to do the exact same on the bottom side. Stroke 1 and 2, lobe 1. The second lobe up the side. And the final terminal lobe, which is kind of like a Hershey Kiss. There we go. That's the basic design, and inside of it, a tiny fleur-de-lis in the center, near the bottom. Try and do that in both of them at the same time. Then around that, see, right underneath should be a dot. And then a leaf pattern up to the top where there should be another slightly more bold fleur-de-lis. Let me go draw that right now. Very good. Now that leaf pattern coming up either side. First of all, a horizontal leaf. Then joining with it, slightly more 45-degree angle, another leaf. And then a final leaf which will bring it up to the top with the fleur-de-lis. I'm also going to add little highlight here just along the inside of each of the lobes. I think that looks nice. Okay, so again, doing the same thing. The horizontal leaf strokes, more of a 45-degree leaf. And then the final terminal leaf. I try and charge it with paint between each stroke, but sometimes I'll go 2 or 3. There, I wanted it a little broader like that. And now just for the highlight. Very good, I like this. So now, one final touch I'm going to do is dot of gold on either side. Between them, I'm also going to do a few dots. Don't ask me why. I don't see that on the design there, but I like it. I think it's attractive. And heck, I'm making the design. There we go. There's the finished design. I think it looks really nice. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other limb to bring it into compliance. I'm actually going to use that as my jumping off point now, so I can make this one similar. Very nice. Now the bottom. Something that I realized when doing stuff like this is that my tendency to want to be a perfectionist gets in the way. If you're going to worry about every stroke, that it's absolutely the same as the last, or that it's perfect, you're just not going to even start. So there's almost no point. It's very well and good to be precise. But look at the masterworks. They are more precise primarily because the artists doing them have had years and years of practice, which I lack. So the idea of me sitting here learning how to do it is precisely the same idea as getting more experience. The more that I do this, the better I'll be, and the more happy I will be with my work when I do it. And remember, if you're not making every single thing the same like a machine would make, you're making unique works of art. That's fine. I see no problem with that. Great. Almost done. One more stroke here, and then I'll just add the final flourishes. Little dollop of paint, and the triplets. Oh, I almost forgot. Just delicately outlining. I think it adds that finished look, so I'm always happy to do that. Great. There we go. 2 finished Turkish style designs on the mid limbs of my first Takedown Turkish bow. I have another one that I'm going to be doing pretty much the same thing on. I'm not going to show it because it's not going to be any different. And I figured if you've watched this for about 15 minutes or however long the video is, you've learned enough. If you enjoyed this, great. I really hope you did. This is a pretty cool book. They've got lots of designs, both from animal motifs, geometric ones, flowers, a lot of flower patterns, some of the later geometric motifs. You can always find something that you like in it. I think it's a good book, and I really hope if you're planning on doing stuff like this, you pick it up. It has some great inspirations for you. Thanks for watching.